So imagine, just think about how cool it would be if in your career you had an unfair opportunity, right? This advantage that your competition can't touch, that means you win more often than anybody else.
Well, everybody, welcome. Let's talk to Dan Stewart from Happy Grasshopper. Of course, this one is part of the whole LCA nurture campaign that we've got with them. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about really bringing that value and remaining at the forefront of what's happening so that when people think about real estate, they think about you, right? And that's really the challenge for most people, Dan, whether it's social media or outside, because I see it everywhere, right? It's that influence, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's about positioning.
Yeah.
It's absolutely about positioning. And we have a choice. How do we want to show up in the lives of people we serve? That dude who sells stuff, right? Or that awesome human being they can't wait to connect with again. So positioning means nothing unless you walk the walk, right? You absolutely have to do that. So today is going to be awesome. This is going to be a different type of session than Tristan and I have done in the past. So
is it a therapy session for me?
You don't need therapy. You're good. What we're going to do here is a little bit of a workshop. So if you're watching this right now, I'm going to give you a link, happygrasshopper.com/workbook. Go to happygrasshopper.com/workbook, and you're going to be able to download the slide deck that I'll be sharing here in just a moment. It has all kinds of good little exercises you can work on in there to work on your positioning.
I am going to go on there right now.
Awesome. So I'm going to give you guys a minute to get that taken care of. And while you're doing that, I want to set some expectations. So imagine, just think about how cool it would be if in your career you had an unfair opportunity, right? This advantage that your competition can't touch, that means you win more often than anybody else. Like, how cool would that be? That would definitely change things for people. Definitely. And this is the reason that brands and individuals should work so hard on positioning, because it gives them that unfair advantage. It helps the consumer see you as different and special based on what it is that you tell them. So there's an old story, I can't source it right now. I want to say his name is Ted Morgan. And he talks about brand positioning as being like all these brands rush onto a crowded bus, right? And everyone looks exactly the same. And what positioning does is you find an empty seat, you like paint it with your branding, and then you play beautiful music to attract people to it, right? So it's the same bus everyone else is on. It's just an entirely different experience for people in that moment. So, think about what we see in real estate. There are hundreds of thousands of agents who say things like, I'm a great communicator, a wonderful negotiator. I'll keep you in, up to the moment communication, and I treat all my clients like family. Mm-hmm. Right? That's the sort of positioning that so many people say it doesn't really set you apart anymore. So today we're going to talk about leveraging these positioning strategies so that you get to the place where it reliably helps you earn more, right? I mean, earning more is a great thing. We all kind of appreciate that. And yet positioning does some other things too. Positioning really is about helping you have that experience in your day-to-day work life of being less stressed and having more joy with the clients you work with, because when you're positioning yourself well, you're attracting the people that are great for you, and you're repelling the people that are just going to be a total pain to work with. So for this reason, positioning is a huge topic. It's covered extensively by far more brilliant people than Tristan and I, right? Today, we're going to focus on what works, and we're going to make it simple so that you can actually get it and put it to use here literally right now today. So one last thing here, and then I'll share my screen with you. I don't want anyone to have this thought in their head that you've got to be some sort of amazing superhuman to leverage proper positioning. You don't have to be. We all are the experts in what it is to be ourselves, right? We all have our own unique experience. And when you learn to position yourself accordingly using those things, you can stand out, right? So even a brand new agent who has never transacted, they have some prior experience in their life that if they include that in their positioning, it helps people really understand what they do, pay attention, and listen to them. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Tristan,
let's do it,
that.
buddy.
Did you grab that workbook?
I did. I have it right in front of me. I was just going through all the slides.
All right, awesome. So I am just about to get this mirrored here for you. All right, so you guys should all be seeing my iPad screen now. Again, here's the link. If you have not already gone there, please jump over to that link and download that workbook. That's an important thing for you to have here.
Awesome. And then Jake put it into the chat too. So.
Okay, cool. Very good. Thank you, Jake. So positioning done well provides something that's really useful, and that's authority. You know, think about it. In your market area, if you were the person who everyone regarded as the real authority in the area you choose to specialize, that gives you an unfair advantage, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple of facets here of authority we need to talk about, because if I say I'm the authority, well, that doesn't mean anything. Everybody can say they're the authority. It's getting other people to say you're the authority that really makes this work well. So today we'll also be sharing some strategies that you can use to take that positioning statement you craft for yourself and get other people to say those things about you, right? Because, you know, all of us would love to have great reviews. With what you learned today about positioning, you'll be able to get people to say that. So I'm going to start out with this really ugly picture of a human brain, right? If you think about what our brains do, maybe the number one job of the human brain is just to decide what the stuff that happens to us actually means, right? We're constantly receiving bombardment of messages, and our brains, most of us all the time, we just kind of feel like we're on overload. So whenever we're getting new information, what our brain is trying to do is slot it into a lane it understands. Okay, so think about that. If we're at a cocktail party, some neighborhood event, we're out in a place where we're meeting people, inevitably that question comes up of, oh, what kind of work are you in? You know, what do you do for a living? And the way you answer that question is going to cause somebody to put you in a certain lane. If you say, oh, I'm in real estate, well, that's something they understand. They don't need to ask any more questions about that. It doesn't raise any kind of curiosity, right? So, you know, I'm thinking of a few people we know, like Laurel Starks, right? She's one of the nation's leading experts in divorce real estate.
Yeah.
And, you know, so she helps courts understand the true value of a real estate property for divorcing families. Like, that's much more interesting than I'm in real estate. So I want you to just start thinking about those lanes that people are automatically putting you into. And I want you to think about the lanes you might like to have people put you in, right? So how do we move from one area to the other? It's by carefully crafting a positioning statement so that they actually understand what it is that we do and how we can help them, right? So all these different lanes that are being sorted there, we have control. We can really influence the way people think about us if we use the right language. So the first one we're going to start with is really, really simple. I help blank, blank, right? So I help families who are moving find pristine waterfront properties in Malibu, California.
Mm,
Okay. That's much more specific.
yeah, I
It
like that.
tells a story, right? Um, I help high net worth individuals transact real estate anonymously. Right? Like there's all sorts of ways you can make people really think about what it is that you do. So, if
That,
I'm a coach or a trainer, go ahead, Tristan. I'm
that,
mile a
that,
minute. I can't stop myself.
no, that last one was really good because you're 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 going to target the right people with that message, and then all of a sudden they're attracted to you. That's all I wanted to say. That was really good.
Thank you. That's one you should use, by the way,
I'm
right?
putting it out there now.
Because all of your high net worth clientele that want to transact anonymously, they know a bunch of high net worth potential clientele for you that also want to transact anonymously.
True.
So a statement like that has just forced the brain of the listener into a lane. Oh, what does that mean? Okay, I get it. And then immediately the brain is saying, who do I know that fits that category? Right? So that's what a powerful positioning statement is all about. So I see some comments here in the chat. Love to see that you're sharing those links, Jake. This is a place where I want you guys to go ahead and share with us in the chat the kind of things you're thinking for a positioning statement. So, who you help should be first. Do you help just anyone? Do you help first-time home buyers? Do you help families? Do you help step-up buyers, retiring, second home and luxury property? I mean, it's up to you to tell the world who it is that you want to work with. And your positioning statement really communicates that for you. So let's see here. Okay, Walter, looks like Jake has you taken care of there. I'm a few minutes behind on the chat, guys, so I'm just catching up.
I got you.
Right. So while we're waiting for these answers to come in for you, I'm going to share a different screen with you, and I'm going to show you some examples of how this gets put into action. So the place I'm going right now is the Happy Grasshopper homepage. So get more referrals, convert more leads, attract more recruits. Okay. At this level, we have to be broad because we serve a broad level of clientele. Well, if somebody clicks on recruits, well, then they get a different message here. Whoops, I set up the wrong page there. Let me click on that. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm bringing up the wrong page here.
That's all right. That's a pretty page too.
We have all sorts of pretty pages, but I should have clicked the right link here. So on the HG recruits, we grow people and profits for real estate organizations.
Ooh, I
Different
like that.
positioning here specifically to the target client. Now, one of my goals every time that we do a webinar session together, I want to provide as much education for people as possible, right? The plan is to make sure you have the knowledge you need to win no matter what happens. I think ultimately, if we adopt that kind of strategy, we have a continuing unfair advantage against our competition. So today I'm going to share a few resources with you that they're also in this deck that I've shared. First one we're going to talk about is marketingexamples.com. And
Right.
I'm pulling this page up here now because I want you guys to see how you can take some mundane positioning. Like, is this accurate? Meet the next generation of SAT prep. Yes, but it doesn't catch the brain. It doesn't make you decide you want to learn more versus ace the SAT with just 10 minutes of studying a day, right? Now, I doubt there's anybody listening to this right now who's studying for the SAT. Maybe you have kids or people in your life that are working on that. And that's why I'm sharing this very purposefully, because if you've got the right message for the wrong audience, it's not going to win, right? You have to always be thinking about who it is that you're speaking with at the time. So, the segments of the market you serve, you need to have different messaging for them. Like here, peace of mind in a cup, right? They're selling tea. That's not a very specific positioning statement, but your most restful sleep is just a sip away, does help you understand more about the value of choosing that particular product. Okay. So there are several examples here on the site. I'm not going to go through all of them. Definitely take a look at marketingexamples.com. It's a great place to figure out how brands are thinking about positioning. Now, when it comes time to thinking about how you should position yourself, the best people to ask are people that you've worked with in the past. Okay, so, Tristan, have you ever run a survey of your past clients?
We have.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. And I know I've seen a bunch of surveys on LCA, so it's great that you're doing that sort of thing. We like to use and recommend a service called a real estate industry survey.
Ooh.
Pretty much everything I've seen here is free. And it looks like they've got a survey now for agents. So it's pretty simple. It pulls together questions that you can put in front of your past clients, and you can understand what it is that they decided or why it was that they picked you, what it is they love about working with you. And oftentimes the things that they write is exactly the messaging that you need. Right? The challenge with creating your own positioning content is that you're so close to yourself. It's really hard to get the perspective you need to see how other people perceive you. So realestateindustysurvey.com is a tool for that. You can also use, like, if you want to create your own, go to JotForm or Typeform or Gravity Forms. There's all sorts of different form providers you can use. We do this sort of thing, of course, at Happy Grasshopper. We survey our members. We ask things like, what were they dealing with that caused them to look for our solution? How did they hear about us? What did you choose? Why did you choose us over other options, right? Understanding these sort of answers, getting that feedback allows us to make better decisions in the copy that we use on our website and in the things that we literally say as we're working with potential clients. So I'm a big fan of using surveying. And in fact, here, for example, this is a survey I really appreciate because, like, we're asking the audience, where does most of their business come from?
Yeah.
71%, I'll zoom in here, 71% is saying relationship or referral.
Dan, do you fill out the answers so they can choose them, or do they come in and choose them on their own? I mean, create them on their own.
Both.
Okay.
Question dependent. So when you know what the choices are, it's better just to give them the choices. But when you want them to tell you things you don't understand, it's better to ask an open-ended question and then just let them write in whatever it is that they choose. Okay. So, like, for example, I think I have one of these questions here. Whoops. What's your big goal for this year?
Right? I like that.
So, here we're getting all sorts of different answers from people.
I'm just going to post that to LCA. That's such a great question.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's great to see this. It's really great to understand. And I've spent the last decade trying to understand how real estate professionals think, right? What is it that you guys need? I really want to make sure that we're listening so that we can create the value that people need. And this survey process is just a great way to do it. A couple of weeks ago, I spoke at the Georgia Association of Realtors. They invited me to teach a class about recruitment. And I thought, well, I need to understand what's going on with recruitment in Georgia. So I put together a pre-event survey, and I got all these answers from people before I showed up. Some of them, they just click a box. Others, they write in exactly what it is. And I wanted to show you this because, the audience for today, whoops, sorry about that, guys. The audience for today was at 71% of their business coming from referral. Look at this audience. These are managing brokers. 87.9% of managing brokers are seeing most of their business come from referral and relationship.
Wow.
And I think that makes sense, right? Because most managing brokers, they're not in production like an agent would be most of the time.
No.
A lot of them say things to us like, well, I'd like to be fully out of production. I just have so many clients who refuse to work with anyone else. So I have to serve them, right? So
That's interesting.
This is worth pointing out because it's another example of understanding your audience and how the answers vary, right? If we're, if we're working with first-time home buyers, they're going to give us completely different answers than people who are much more experienced with the home buying process, right? So, it all really comes back to where you choose to plant your flag with what types of customers you choose to attract. Okay. So we've covered a lot there in a short amount of time, and I'm going to jump back to the chat here. I'm going to share from my my iPad again here. So let me go ahead and do that.
I just posted the poll, by the way, just so you know.
Thank you, Tristan. So I'm looking in the chat here now. Let's see if we get the screen share working. So do we have anybody who's put any positioning statements in the chat?
None yet, buddy.
I don't see that. Okay. All right. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go forward. The one that I gave you earlier, Tristan, we'll go ahead and document that here for people. I help high net worth individuals transact real estate anonymously.
I like that one.
Okay. Now I do too, except for the transact. I help high net worth individuals buy, sell, or invest in real estate anonymously, right? It's a little bit different, a little friendlier. Depending who the clientele is, maybe that word's not quite right. So let's knock out a couple of more of these. I had a real interesting conversation a couple of weeks back with a guy in Seattle who does something I was not familiar with. In a decade of serving real estate professionals, I hadn't come across this model before. He works with Seattle homeowners whose property has been rezoned. Okay? And what he does is he pulls those properties into an assemblage, and he's able to sell it as a unit to developers for often more than double what they would get for it if they sold individually. Pretty amazing stuff. Now, the sales cycle is longer, but it's a really kind of a complex value proposition. So how do you communicate that more efficiently in a way that people would understand, right? So something like, I help Seattle homeowners that have been rezoned sell for often double their expectations.
Yeah.
Like, something like that pulls it together a bit more efficiently.
Mazier says that's my specialty.
All right, I see that there. That's very cool. So are you also in Seattle? There's no possibility these guys don't know each other if they are. So that's pretty cool. All right, so we've covered quite a bit here in just a short amount of time. We're talking about leveraging language to help people see you as unique and special when we've got a sea of everybody looking exactly the same. So again, if you meet someone and you say, oh, I'm in real estate, you're missing an opportunity to really take advantage of an unfair advantage in the marketplace. Using better language in that environment can create more opportunity for you. So Mazier, I see you're in Toronto. Let's connect. if you could send me an email, dan@happygrasshopper.com, I'd love to connect you to my buddy in Seattle. You guys can probably compare notes. I think that'd be fun.
That would be interesting, dude.
So, I mean, have you run across that, Tristan?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it was new for me. It was. So I mentioned earlier the importance of getting other people to say how great you are.
Yeah.
It's nice if you say it, but nobody believes it, right? So how do we get other people to say these things? Well, I'm going to give you 3 easy steps to get 5-star reviews. Okay. So we're going to start with step 1. And this one's really easy. You just have to earn them. That's the prerequisite. If you're going to get great reviews, if you're going to get people talking about you, telling other people how great you are, you must be great, period. You can't shortcut that. The second thing that has to happen in this process is you need to ask for them. Now that might seem a little easy and obvious, and yet I can't tell you how many times I talk to brokers whose agents want more reviews, they're not getting them. How many times I speak with individuals, they need more reviews, and they can't figure out how to get them. Well, you already have a process for literally everything that happens in a transaction. You need to make asking for reviews part of that process. So, when do you think the very best time to ask for a review would be, Tristan?
When they're the happiest about the close.
That is the smartest answer ever. Yeah. I mean, so many people would say, oh, at the close, like right when they close. Oftentimes that's a high stress moment for people.
Yeah.
So, having a time to ask them when they're the happiest is great. And yet it's also a little hard to put on a calendar. So, think about those moments where your clients are likely to really appreciate you. One that occurs pretty consistently is the moment when a contract is accepted, whether it's a buy or sell. That's a moment when people should feel appreciative of their agent. So it could be a good time to ask for a review. Now the third one is react for them. React for them. So you just said when they're the happiest, right? So when people are feeling the happiest, they generally say things like, thank you, right? So anytime you hear those words, thank you, I want that to be an internal trigger for you to ask them for a review. Oh, you're so welcome, Tristan. Gosh, it's awesome to be able to serve you. I'm glad you're happy. Could you do me a favor? I'm going to send you a message right now. I would love if you could say those kind of things you just told me in an online forum or two, right? So you need to have a message ready to go that's got the links where you want people to leave a review for you. And, for bonus points, include an example review or two that you've received so they don't have to struggle to really write it themselves. And that's where you can include some of that positioning language, right? So it's a good way to do it. Tracy, thank you. I love what she's put here in the chat. Her positioning statement. I help new home sales associates provide active adult buyers the opportunity to live the dream they've worked so long for. Okay.
That's a good one.
I help new home sales associates provide. So I'm curious about that. You help new home sales associates. So are you coaching new home sales associates? I want to know. Ah, okay. Yep. She's the trainer there. Okay. So that makes sense. Your job is to help these sales associates thrive, like introduce people to that next phase of their life. So you're in a position, Tracy, where the language that you choose and that you train people on, that will come out of the mouths of the people that you're training. So I love that you're here and you're wanting to work on this. So, I've shared quite a few resources with you in the links. I've shared several different websites where you can go to to learn more about positioning, to see examples, to run your own surveys. There's one site I haven't shared yet that I absolutely should, right? And that site is the site where Tristan and I have collaborated to put together content for you guys to help you transact more frequently in your markets. So I'm going to share my desktop here again, and we're going to take a look over here at how we've done that. So a little bit of background. For the past decade, I have been studying the data about what works and what doesn't work when it comes to delivering content for real estate professionals. Now, the truth that I've learned over this time is that if we optimize for starting conversations, it is impossible for you not to sell more real estate. If you have more conversations with people, you will have more closings. You will earn more commission. It's absolutely unavoidable. So in our collaboration, what we've done is we've put together the technology and the content that you need in order to be able to have those conversations with people in your market that know who you are. So please, everybody, just grab that link. It's going to be put in the chat here for you. You go to happygrasshopper.com/meet-LCA-nurture, and you'll be able to learn every single thing that you need to see here about the service. You'll be able to watch videos from people who are using it that it's going well for. You can read all about what it does and how to use it. And best of all, in less than 15 minutes, you'll be ready to send your first messages and have those conversations with people who are ready to transact. So Tristan, thank you so much for inviting me to be here today and teach people about positioning.
Dude, I wonder if our next one should be about with Barry Jenkins.
That'd be awesome.
Because I think we're going to dive into how he uses it, and I think that could really help a lot of people.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Let's reach out to them together.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
I'll see you on Facebook in just a few then. Right?
And then, yeah, check out that poll. Thanks, everybody.
All right, cool.
Thanks,
Bye now.